Today is April 6th, 2015, and this is our weekly 10x Mastermind Group Mastermind Call. My name is John Pyron. I am the founder and host of this call. This call is celebrating 1 year this month. So for 1 solid year, this call has been happening every single Monday. And there have been many different time variations as far as the time the call has started, but I think we finally found a time slot that works not only for a lot of people, but myself included. And we've went through several different formats over the years, and the format that seems to be resonating the best for people both on the live call and on the recording is every single week, it's a different focus, and every single week, it's a different guest speaker. And so that seems to be resonating with everybody the most, and that's the mode we're going to run with as long as there's an old saying. Tony Robbins taught this to my mentor, Eric Opfell. Eric Opfell taught to me. It's like Tony Robbins used to say, okay, ride that, when you find something that works, ride that pony until that pony won't ride no more. And so we're going to be going with this format because it seems to be working out for a lot of people. And so the format is simply this. On the first Monday of the month, we focus all our energy and effort on this call as it relates to marketing. On the second Monday, it's all about sales. On the third Monday, it's about mindset and attitude. And then on the fourth Monday, it's all about building your own business and different aspects of building a business. And then 4 times a year when it happens, there's a fifth Monday, and we always have a special guest speaker, and the entire call is focused on them and their success and what principles that they've learned in the many years of being in business and so forth. And so, Mr. Grant Perry, if you could do me a huge favor, and because I'm dialing on this call from my Bluetooth, and if for some reason it starts cutting out or something happens and the voice goes south, if you can just give me a heads up on a text, that would be awesome. Okay, before we get started, a couple of announcements. Grant Perry and I are leading a national call for the Small Business Administration. And the SBA has, I was really shocked actually, is for all the resources that the SBA provides to business owners, one of the things I noticed in their training curriculum is they had no sales training. And so I approached them and I said, hey, do you mind if we lead a call? So we took a baby step with them, and it turned out to be a really good success. And so now, every Tuesday morning at 10:30 a.m., Grant Perry and I lead a national call for the Small Business Administration. And we're now in our 5th week of the call, and it's all about how to sell. And so it's free to the public. I was going to create a separate Facebook group, but I decided to just put it in the 10x Mastermind group, the 10x Facebook group. And so every Tuesday, if you want to up your sales game or get professionally trained in sales, it's a free call. There's no selling allowed on there. We're actually teaching some really good stuff, and you're more than welcome to take advantage of that resource. Okay, so let me get myself situated here where I am going to introduce our guest expert on today's call. And so Aaron Opfell, I've known Aaron for, about 6 to 7 months now. And I worked with this company. I hired his company to do my website and manage all of my SEO. He's done a phenomenal job. For those of you that have not visited my website, visit the website and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I've coached Aaron and his company in the art of sales and business, and we have a really good, unique working relationship. So when I was thinking about, okay, who can I have do the Monday call as it relates to marketing, no doubt about it, it was this guy. This guy is an absolute stud and expert when it comes to SEO marketing and just digital marketing in general. And so let me, before I bring Aaron on the call, he's the founder and CEO of digital marketing agency SearcherMag.net. So serving as both creative director and head of sales, Aaron has a unique perspective on internet marketing that consistently gets results for businesses sized anywhere from the solopreneur to the Fortune 50. I've watched this guy and how he's dealt with his customers and how he's dealt with the people I've referred to him over the last 6 months, and it's unbelievable, the integrity, the results that he's getting for these customers. If anybody is versed on today's topic, it's this guy. And so our topic today, what we're going to focus on is on LinkedIn SEO, specifically as it relates to getting your LinkedIn profile just absolutely dialed. And so, Aaron, are you there?
I'm here.
And Aaron, if you, welcome, man.
Thanks,
hey,
John.
thanks
it's
for
great
being
to
on
be
the
here.
call today, buddy.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Thanks for the invite. I'm honored to be here with you and Grant, and I'm excited to get into the meat and potatoes of this thing.
Fantastic. So today's topic, we're talking about LinkedIn SEO, so how to increase the visibility of your business profile. And so I didn't even realize that LinkedIn has an SEO component to it. What's the SEO component of LinkedIn? Why is that important?
Well, John, that's a great question. I think it comes from a general lack of awareness about how LinkedIn actually works. So a lot of people are surprised to learn that LinkedIn was actually created in its first infant stage as a tool or software for recruiters, if you can believe that. So that was their primary business model. Hey, in the beginning, they had to tell the venture capitalists how they're going to make money, and that was how they planned to do it. Becoming the largest B2B social network globally was kind of like an accident. Mm-hmm. But, in the beginning, it was sort of like a matchmaker service for recruiters to find candidates, So if you know anything about recruiting, it's a highly competitive field. If a certain job title or set of skills is desirable, recruiters are just going to spend a lot of money and time and resources going after those people. So, coming back around to your point, why it has an SEO component is the primary way for people, for recruiters to find people is by searching. So LinkedIn actually, built this algorithm, and it is an algorithm very similar to how Google's algorithm works. More on that topic later. But primarily LinkedIn acts as a search engine, not only for recruiters today, but also other people like decision makers or people looking for vendors. Or people looking for introductions or assistance of some kind.
Got it. And so on this call, so on the live call, and then more and more people are listening to the recording of this call that we do on Monday, can you explain in a very high level, just a non-computer person level, what is SEO and why is it important?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, John, because, there's a lot of critiques of my industry, right? SEO, search engine optimization. I hear time and time again people complain, I don't understand what SEO is. I don't know how it works. It's nebulous. It's difficult to measure. It's difficult to quantify, right? In a nutshell, I would say SEO refers to coming up first when someone's typing in a keyword, right? Do you remember, John, a game that we used to play, right, when we were kids, junior high school, King of the Hill?
Uh-huh.
So you remember in King of the Hill how, you and your friends are trying to get to the top of a hill, and you're running and you're kicking and you're jostling each other and you're just trying to get to the top first for bragging rights. Mm-hmm. Well, just imagine that hill is actually Google, or whatever search engine, right? I want everyone to think here in terms of search engines. Google's just one search engine, right? LinkedIn is a search engine. Microsoft Bing is a search engine. Twitter has a search engine. Facebook has a search engine, and so on and so forth. But in this context, that hill is the search engine, and your friends are the people or results that are competing with you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. No, it makes total sense. So as a business owner or as a salesperson or anybody for that matter, if I want to get found for what it is that I do, having a good search engine optimization strategy is very important, right?
Holistically, sure.
Sure. And so when we talked about, okay, what's the topic? Because as you know, on the weekly call that we do here, our goal here is to share literally the best content around. And then if people are interested in engaging with you, they're going to do that. And so what I have found is, working with my mentor, Steve Napleton, is that, you know what? If you give away your best content, chances of them implementing it, they're going to need your help anyway, right? And so the thing I was excited about having you on today's call is we talked about, okay, what are the key words? How do keywords work on LinkedIn, and how can a person make their profile appear when people that are important to them search for them? So how do keywords work on LinkedIn?
Right. And that's a great question. Let me back up a second, John. I agree 100% with you. I follow the school of thought. Gary Vaynerchuk, I don't know if you know that guy, but he's a semi-annoying social media personality. Fascinating guy, great stage presence. He his latest book was called Jab, Jab, Right Hook, right? And I was like, what the hell does that mean? And when I looked at it and read it, I was like, okay, he's saying you got to give, a couple things of value, right? Jab, jab. Mm-hmm. And then you ask for the sale, the right hook. So I believe in that wholeheartedly, and I'm prepared to kind of open the kimono here and give away some secrets. We're known, interestingly enough, my company's known for, search engine optimization, some related products, like you mentioned, like web design, pay-per-click advertising. LinkedIn is sort of like a added value consulting service we've just offered to our clients, and it's come strictly from, the experiments I've ran on my own profile on LinkedIn. So when I'm out there, looking for business, right, prospecting, as you've talked about in other calls, John, we're all using LinkedIn in a sales capacity, and so what I'm about to share with you guys on this call, doesn't come from research or study. It comes from actual practical experiments that I've ran on my own profile combined with my body of knowledge. So I think you guys are going to find it really useful because it's helped me make, a lot of money. So
now, before we hop in there, let me ask you a question. So, kind of give the audience a background, if you will.
Sure.
How long have you been doing what you're doing right now with search engine optimization, web design, that sort of thing? How long have you been doing that for?
Oh, I suppose I started in 2006. So coming on about a decade now.
And over those years, you've had quite a bit of success. You're a published author, and you've written a book about what you do.
Yep, correct. Clicking the lead.
Yeah. And so you're uniquely qualified. So the reason I wanted to ask Aaron that, everybody, is to give you an idea of, before Aaron kind of lets open the floodgate, this is where you're going to want to start getting out your notepad, okay? You're going to start taking some notes. The other thing I will tell you is, if you're in front of a computer, pull up your own LinkedIn profile at this point, because we're going to be walking through some things that Aaron's going to point out that you're going to need to be looking at your LinkedIn profile if you have it in front of you, or you can go back and listen to this recording. But let's talk about it. Go ahead, man. Let's talk about, okay, how do keywords work on LinkedIn, and give us some meat and potatoes, my friend, so we can then we'll get to the dessert here in a minute.
Yeah, let's dig into this. So we got kind of four main topics here. This is the first one. It's kind of one of the more important ones. It's like fundamentally, the goal here is to explain how LinkedIn works, right, from the perspective of someone that's searching for you or services or products that you offer, right? And John, if you could do me a huge favor, we've joked about this, but I tend to think in originally was like a programmer. I still, write a little code here and there. I tend to think like very technically. So if I drop some jargon on you on this call, or if I say something that's not in a common sense, it does it's a little bit obtuse or thick. Just interrupt me and I'll explain it.
Well, I got a better idea than that, man. So not only will I do that, but if Aaron's talking about, if you're on the live call, see, here's the benefit for being on the live call, right? If Aaron starts talking about something that you would like more clarification on, feel free to press *6 and come on the call, okay? And specifically if you've got a question for clarification, okay? So we're going to allow the whole audience, we want audience participation today. This is one of those calls that if you implement what Aaron's talking about, can make you a lot of money. All right, go ahead. Sorry about that.
No worries. No, I would add, you have to, every time I've one of the reasons I've been so successful is I don't mind educating my clients on, how this stuff actually works, even when they hire me to do it, because I have a philosophy. Some agencies, they don't want to reveal anything, and I have the philosophy there's a limitless amount of information out there. It's really about how you apply it. And, that's kind of what we're about. So let's talk a little bit about, keywords, right? There's a quote, a few key words. And, what I appreciate about, the whole keyword internet thing, it's really how humans think. And it goes back to human kind of psychology. Think about it like this. Let's say someone handed you a, typewritten page of, 12-point Times New Roman, right? A lot of words. And you didn't have time to read the whole thing. What would you do? You'd scan it, right? And what would you be scanning for? Keywords, right? Because those keywords would tell you what that document was about rather than you having to read the whole thing. So that's kind of how keywords work, in general. So, back to our hill metaphor, right? Each keyword is a hill, and there are a number of given results that are going to pop up there. So in LinkedIn, LinkedIn is kind of interesting because, they have a proprietary algorithm, right? And what that means is they don't reveal the factors to anybody. There's no information about it. It's sort of like, the KFC recipe or the Coca-Cola recipe. It's the one thing that makes LinkedIn unique and different from all those other failed B2B social media networks, right? So, but what we've learned from observation is keywords work strikingly similar to how they work on Google, but they have this overlay that's kind of composed of basically like three parts, right? So there's kind of like a relevancy score, right? So if you're searching, LinkedIn's going to try to recommend one of like three things. It's going to be a group, it's going to be an individual profile, or it's going to be a company, right? So LinkedIn sort of has to do a calculus as far as like, if you go to that top search bar, you'll notice that, right? Looks strikingly similar to Google search bar the more you look at it, right? And if you think about it, if you're on LinkedIn and you're looking for something, you're going to go up to that search bar with that blinking cursor, and you're going to search for what you're looking for, right? Mm-hmm. And so we'll go into like user intent a little bit. That more follows like I think the second point about the headlines. But what we're talking right now, today's call is talking about strictly about your profile, right? So we're talking about a person-to-person connection, someone looking for you, or by extension, products or services that you offer, right? So humans are constantly searching on LinkedIn. Unfortunately, there's no public tools about like how many searches are happening. There's only some speculation, but there are I think a billion or something profiles on LinkedIn, and so this is people move increasingly towards search as a way of answering questions. People are using LinkedIn to find things. So that first part of the calculus that LinkedIn has to do is find out is this person looking for what are they looking for? So like if you go to the top of the search engine, just type in the word SEO. Just SEO, like the acronym.
So SEO.
What's fascinating about
okay.
What's fascinating about this, John, is every single person on this call is going to get a different result.
Really?
Yes. That's because
now, why is that?
That's because of point 2. The second point is that LinkedIn, a major part of LinkedIn's calculus is you. What's in your profile? Who are you connected to? Where are you located?
Okay.
So, and this is pretty fascinating.
So it's going to geo target people, obviously.
Yep, that's a very heavy bias.
But also, because I'm noticing people I just typed in SEO on my own LinkedIn profile, some dude in New York came up. I'm nowhere near you, New York, right? And, they're actually from all over the place. So I would imagine there's another criteria that is weighted here, because I'm giving SEO as it relates to sales and startups and business. So I'm noticing that, it's very specifically focused on SEO around sales and business, probably because my profile has a tremendous amount of keywords as it relates to sales and business.
Yeah, exactly. And, oddly enough, I think this is due to the hot hiring market for, my skill set, but, half of what I'm seeing are jobs, and they're all over the country, right? So this is kind of like the first thing, and so, this is LinkedIn's what they call search results page. So you can think of this, John, as very similar to what happens if you go to Google and type in a keyword. This is their main results page.
And so let's say, in fact, why don't we do this? And it's going to be the first person who does this is going to win big time, right? And so I'm looking for a volunteer, and *6 will bring you on the call. No takers.
This is Ray.
Hey, Ray.
Ray? Yeah, let me help.
Okay. So what I thought we would do, Aaron, so Ray is in real estate.
Okay.
Specifically in the Sacramento region, okay? He just started a real estate company. So if you were going to tell Ray, because we can do this for it's very hard to teach this topic to a generalization, but for the most part, I think we're going to accomplish this with Ray here is, if you were giving Ray advice on, what kind of keywords would be important in his profile, what are some of the questions that Ray would need to answer in order for you to give him advice?
Right. Well, the first question, Ray, is who buys what you have for sale?
So the people that buy, I have a specific market that I'm targeting right now, homes with pools. So probably families, middle class, maybe upper middle class, in the price range that I'm looking at.
Okay, so you're looking to sell homes, basically, right?
Correct.
Or like you're looking to get listings.
Exactly.
Right. So, that might be a little too specific.
Okay.
But another thought process here, LinkedIn's, so that's a B2C thing, right? So remember that, LinkedIn is primarily business to business. So that might be a what you just said, the listing, that's a business to consumer thing, right? You're selling to consumers.
Yes.
Consumers, I don't think are going to go on LinkedIn typically and look for you. But a buyer's agent might try to connect with you. right? Because you might have a listing that they want to recommend to their buyer. So,
okay.
Yeah, so
I
that's
see
kind
what
of
you're saying.
Yeah.
So there is if I haven't started yet, but I've done a little bit of research. For example, working with attorneys on probate type properties, or maybe somebody that goes to an attorney that has a property and they're wondering what to do with it. So I'm looking at marketing to attorneys that would need a realtor for their client. But that would be more business to business related.
Yeah, no, there you go. So, LinkedIn's primary characteristic is it connects business people, for the purpose of, sales, buying, collaboration, referrals, a whole bunch of different stuff. So yeah, so I mean, what you'd probably want to do is go a little broad and just try to come up with, like, I know attorneys in particular, they're not the, let's just say that they go for the low-hanging fruit, right? They're going to want to work with someone locally, right? So
okay.
You're going to want to come up for, Sacramento realtor is probably what kind of keyword, or maybe like probate, probably like probate real estate or probate, you probably want to use keywords that, like an attorney would use, probably like legal terms related to that transaction.
Okay.
So, LinkedIn, one of the, this is kind of skipping ahead a little bit, but you want to, people are typing these keywords into LinkedIn, as I've explained, they're searching for things. So you got to put yourself in the perspective of, that attorney. If that attorney's having, because people use search to answer questions, right?
Right.
Where's the nearest pizza place? Where's the nearest Toyota mechanic? So what kind of problem might they have that would have them turn and looking for a solution? You got to think of like those types of terms. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
So if he was going to, all the keywords that you gave him, right? Basically, how would he use those in his profile? Give me an example of how if you were coaching Ray one-on-one right now, which kind of we are on this call, right? What would you instruct Ray to do with those keywords going forward? How would you teach him how to attack his profile?
Right. So that's a great question, and that this also again kind of skips into the third point, which is how to write a effective profile summary, right? But what I would say is like the quickest and easiest thing is, hey, look, summaries are difficult. You don't want to, it's hard to write about yourself in the third person. What I ended up doing was I just created a list of all the terms that are related to what I do, and I just listed them. This is the kind of the cheat code, So to your LinkedIn profile summary, if you go and click the upper right-hand corner, you'll see your face in the upper right-hand corner of LinkedIn if you're logged in. It'll take you to your profile where you can edit it. You just once you've figured out all the keywords, you just simply add them to your summary at the bottom as a list. That's the quick hack.
Mm-hmm. And so when people say, okay, recommend John for X, Y, and Z, those are keywords down there.
No, I'm actually speaking. There's a place. If you're on the profile screen, it should be like linkedin.com/profile/view, and you scroll down. It's a section titled Summary.
Yeah.
So in that summary, there's a little text box.
Uh-huh.
So on mine, it says, it has my summary. I wrote a paragraph there. And then underneath it, I put clients hire us for, and they just have a list of all my keywords.
Mm-hmm.
But you bring up a good point in that, the keywords in your recommendations matter as well.
Mm-hmm.
Everything matters. I mean, it makes sense, right, John? To come up for a search term, you just have to add those keywords to your search result.
Yep. Okay. So I think we got. So Ray, go ahead and press *6. That'll mute you. Thank you so much for volunteering, buddy. Appreciate it. All right, so I think we got the keyword piece down. Before we move on, does anybody else have any other questions as it relates to SEO keywords? *6 will bring you live on the call, and we'll take a couple of questions real quick before we move on to our next topic. Anybody got any questions they want to ask Aaron real quick? Going once, going twice, and let's move on. All right, so the next thing that we're going to talk about, let me get back to my my notes here. If
I'm not mistaken, we're coming up on headlines and taglines. Is that where you're at?
Yeah. Just there we go. Yep, profile headlines and taglines that drive results, not just clicks. And so share with me what your thoughts are there.
Right. So, there's a couple, search is so interesting because there's a few components to it, right? There's, why you want to climb the hill in the first place, what that hill is, what are the other people in the race, right? But, there's still that component, like you can be at the top of the hill, but someone's got to say, yes, that's what I want to click on, right? And, a lot of that has to do with the actual copy that appears when someone's, searching for a term, like this is why one of the reasons this topic is so fascinating to me is we I have a whole team here that all they do really, a lot of the time is write, titles and descriptions, come up in Google, and a small change in your title can, make a huge change in the amount of people that click on it. So it's sort of like, you're familiar with like billboard advertising, right, John?
Mm-hmm.
So if you had a billboard and it was blank, what do you imagine the response rate might be?
0.
Right. So if you had a billboard and maybe just your picture and your phone number, you'd probably get a response rate greater than 0, right?
Yeah.
If you had your picture, a testimonial, and a great headline that said, like, the sales doctor and your phone number, do you think you'd get a better response in the other two situations?
That's what I'm talking about, baby. And by the way, everybody, it was Aaron's idea. He came up with the sales doctor, and I love you for it, man. that was a great tagline.
I think it worked out perfectly. But yeah,
I think if I had a billboard with all that stuff up there, heck, I wouldn't even call myself probably.
Well, there you go, right? But so the interesting part is the perspective of a person sitting in the car, right? That sees this ad. Mm-hmm. In the one situation we have no information to make a decision, and the second we have some, and then the third we have a much better value proposition, right?
Yep.
And that is the fundamentals of copywriting. Copywriting is something that is very deeply intertwined with sales and marketing, and it just to define it real quick, it's different from right. Just because you can write copy doesn't mean you're a copywriter. You know what I mean? So copywriting, as I look at it, is headlines and taglines, and you can think of a headline as like the head. If the search result is a person, then the copy is the head of it.
Yeah.
So, to bring this back to the topic at hand, you're typing this stuff in. Believe it or not, the result, that little blue link above every single result, that's your profile headline. Mm-hmm. So now we can start to see how important this headline is. My headline is, a lot of people it's one of these funny things, like you're filling out your LinkedIn profile and you're just like, skip, yes, no, you just fly right by it. And people don't think about it. Some people are putting like their phone number in there and smiley faces and, all this stuff. And it's like, you don't realize that you have maybe about 50, 60 characters of information that you can present to someone, And this is going to make a huge difference or not whether they click on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if your profile title says, don't click on me, people would probably not, you know. And so the thing is there's two considerations when thinking about writing an effective LinkedIn profile headline, right? The first thing is, and I'm going to keep repeating this, is a fundamental characteristic of marketing that like has to be repeated, and that's you have to get inside your buyer's head. What do they want? What do they need? You know, why should they click on you? Why should they buy from you, right? And that's going to, you know, that's not only keywords, but that's also kind of psychology. You can't just spam your keyword in there 50 times, right? So, you know, what we recommend is just writing a strong headline. Like someone should read it and feel interested and curious. Your target should feel interested and curious. You don't have to close the sale in the headline. You know, that's another mistake, right? If you put your phone number in the profile, I mean, you're asking for the sale right away. You know, John, do you ask for the sale on the first call, the first sales call?
On the very first call, no.
Right. So it's sort of like, you know, you're taking a, you know, if you're dating a girl,
I
you know.
I asked for their Social Security number and the name of their firstborn. I mean, is that okay or?
Yes.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Right. Well, if you're going to go out on a date, you're not going to, you know, you're going to take the girl out for a drink, and you know, there's a process to it, right?
Oh, I know, and you're hitting the nail on the head. I mean, most people, it's shocking, and I know you deal with this as well when you're taking on, you know, because one of the things that I know you do with your customers is it goes beyond website and SEO and Google AdWords and all that stuff, but there's a lot of coaching and consulting from internet marketing strategy standpoint that you do, and it's amazing how many people want to get married right out of the gate with their prospect, and then they wonder why they're not closing the deal, right? And they forget the basics of dating, which is you got to say hi first, right? You got to kind of, you know, maybe get to know each other a little bit, maybe go out for, you know, a cup of coffee or whatever, and it's just little steps that add up over time, you know, produce a long-term relationship. And too many people want to spill, you know, what I call they want to spew their stuff all over people, and then they wonder why nobody wants to do business with them. And so that's kind of what you're hitting on here is, you know what, there's a way to write your tagline without having to, you know, give away the farm or ask somebody to marry you in your tagline, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to sell on your tagline. You know, the goal of that, you know, and you're one of the ways we think alike is the systematic stuff, you know, and the stuff you taught me in sales, you know, some of it applies directly to marketing, you know, like, for example, here, you know, someone who's never met you, never heard of you, maybe is connected to someone's third connection, they don't want to be sold. You know, they want a tagline or headline that interests them. All you have to do at this stage is interest them and be relevant, interesting and relevant. That's all you're going for. You know, anything else is too much. You know, so when you're sitting down to write this thing, you know, try to throw in 2 keywords if you can, 3 if you can, but you know, try to write something that's attractive and interesting that says what you do. Does that make sense? Like, it should say what you do, not where you work or what your job title is. Those are big boo-boos. Like, you're wasting space. You've got 60 characters here. That's going to mean the difference with someone clicking on your profile or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm changing mine right now as we speak because I'm like, holy cow, I violated the #1 rule, and you're right. I looked at my tagline. I'm like, yeah. I probably wouldn't click on me either. Like, holy cow. Yeah. So, you know, take a look at everybody on the live call or listening to the recording. Take a look at your own tagline and ask yourself this question. Is there enough information? You know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't get them to drink. But you sure the hell can make them thirsty, right? And so what I'm hearing you say is you want to make the right prospect, the prospect that you're after, thirsty as hell so they'll want to click on your profile, right?
Right. I would say, John, yours is pretty good. You've got results-based business coach.
Well, I just changed that based on your coaching just now.
Oh, in real time. Okay. I was curious what the old one was. Okay.
Yeah, the old one had my name. It had my phone number. It had my email address. It had certain things about results that I get. Increased profit margins, increased sales results. I'm like, well, that doesn't really put me out there like I really need to be presented.
I was going to say, because this is a real strong one. I don't know if you need to change anything.
I changed it all.
Okay, perfect, man.
That's all. This entire tagline now is just based on this call. So
right. Well, you asked me to deliver value, John. I'm delivering value you can implement right now. So.
Hey, and I'm taking action, baby.
Yeah. There you go.
Let's talk about. So anything else as it relates to headlines, taglines? What other advice what other information would you like to share with us about that?
I would say if you do not have obviously the basics. I mean, we're not teaching LinkedIn 101 here. This is an advanced class. Is that someone joining, John? Or what is that?
Somebody have a question.
Okay, shoot it.
Yeah, that was me muting and unmuting.
Okay.
This is Sara Lopez. Hi.
Okay, good to meet you.
Hi, guys. Hey, John. Yeah, I'm enjoying this dialogue. I'm still trying to find where is the headline, where is the tagline. I really haven't done anything to my LinkedIn. That's a long story, but anyway, a short version of a long story.
Okay. Hey, no better time to start than today, right?
Okay.
LinkedIn is like that billboard. You just kind of put it up and you forget about it, but it's always out there, right? People are always driving by it. So, yeah, and it's one of those things. It's like it just takes a few minutes, but it's so effective that I don't know why more people aren't doing it. But to answer your question, all your profile settings, and they move this around. These guys always do this. But if you go to if you're logged into LinkedIn, just go to the upper right-hand corner, click on your picture, and it will bring you to the Edit Profile page. And you should see your picture to the left. You should see your name at the top, and then immediately under that is your headline.
Okay.
So it's right of your picture and below your headline.
So that's what you're speaking of.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the headline, and that's also the search result link. So, it's not obvious, but that is the connection. That's the exact connection.
Okay.
And if you just click on that,
that's what I got to work on.
Yep, you got to click on that little blue pencil, and you can edit it. And so, one thing I always try to explain to people is we're a huge believer in testing. So I would encourage you, a lot of times people get locked up on this stuff because they're like, I don't know what to write. And the thing is it doesn't have to be perfect. It's better than what you have right now. That's what's important. And you can see, if you look immediately to the right of this, you'll see a who's viewed your profile section.
You're right. Yes, I see that. You see, I'm very popular. You see, I'm really being searched. Anyway, I'm not. You can't see me, but anyway.
Right. Well, so for example, mine says I have 15 profile views in the last 7 days. I get two profile views on average, and 90% of them are people I've never met.
Okay.
Or are not even connected to me. So that's how I know it's working. Is I'm getting viewed all the time, and people are messaging me and connecting me that I don't know.
Okay.
So that's some practical input there. I would encourage everyone, test this stuff out, try it, change your headline, and then look at that viewed your profile thing to show you if you're going in the right direction.
Okay. Awesome. So, excuse me, it's Aaron, correct? Did I get that correct?
Yeah, it's okay. Aaron Opfell.
Thank you. Okay, so what would be an example, or what would you say is a good example and how often should you check back to see if people are really viewing your profile? How often should you be viewed if you're really out there? Well, anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all relative. I have about 1,500 connections. And I get viewed about twice a day. So, 60 people a month. So, I mean, I'm pretty pleased with that because that translates into one inquiry a month on average. it varies. I know people with 50,000 connections or 500,000 connections, but it's not really if you're just getting viewed by people in India or something like that, that's not super helpful. You should look at also the type of people that's viewing you. Like, for example, when I look at it, all I see are job titles that are like marketing director, chief technical officer, chief operating officer, owner. I'm seeing job titles of people that are interested in, or they're my target decision maker. Does that make sense? So like I'm selling to people with that job title, and I'm seeing them view my LinkedIn profile, and that's how I know I'm hitting it out of the park.
I see. Okay. Okay.
John, anything to add on that B2B title thing? That's something that you work with, right? You're looking at job titles.
Yeah, I mean, I learned, almost a year ago that one of my primary strategies for building, when I first started out my company, I needed exposure, right? Whenever you're starting out a business, or and even I know even experienced business owners that suffer from this, is their biggest challenge is obscurity, right? Not enough people know about them. And so what's interesting is you go to their LinkedIn profile and it says, Joe Smith, President and CEO, and that's all that it says on their tagline. And that's very helpful for someone like me looking to build my list, right? Looking to build my prospect list, because maybe I'm looking for a president or CEO, and so when I go to search, what happens in the search in LinkedIn, your picture comes up, your name, and your headline, and that's all that comes up in most cases. And so if you want somebody to click on you, it's very important to have some key words about what it is that you do in that headline. Now, the headline I had before our conversation today, built my list over to over 2,000 people on LinkedIn. When I changed my profile and my headlines and got some coaching back in August of last year, I went from less than 1,000 connections to over, I think I'm approaching 2,000. And 90% of them are people asking to connect with me. It's not the other way around, right? And so what I'm doing today, which I just did, is I'm changing my tagline again. And what I try to do, Sada, is once a month on a Saturday or a Sunday, I have a standing appointment, and it's about a 4-hour block of time, and it's specifically called marketing. And I have to be in the right frame of mind. It's typically from 9 a.m. until about 1 o'clock. I lock myself in my office. I inform my wife and my kids that I don't exist for 4 hours. Don't bother me. Don't call me. My cell phone's off. No interruptions, because I'm in total creative mode, and I'm focused on my LinkedIn profile, my Facebook profile, my Twitter profile, my scripts. I'm immersed in that. And so once a month I try to deal with my LinkedIn profile, because it's just like if you were going to go to a website, right? What would keep you coming back? What do you think would keep you coming back to somebody's website? Something new, exactly. And so if you're not doing this as a regular practice as a business owner or a sales professional, is make it spicy, right? Make it right. Constantly relevant, constantly updated, constantly new stuff, video, all that type of stuff. And what'll happen is LinkedIn, I can't tell you how many people go to my LinkedIn profile versus, it's almost kind of 50-50. They'll go to my LinkedIn profile sometimes before they even go to my webpage. And you want them to be able to go there and find out, let me put it this way. you're an Amway, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you specialize in being an Amway distributor, and one of the things I love about your approach is you're not an undercover Amway agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's nothing wrong with the Amway. I love the Amway Corporation. I love their products. I think it's the most phenomenal company on the planet. Very high integrity, the corporation itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
right.
over the years, there's been a huge stigma in North America as it relates to Amway, primarily because of the way people have built it, right? You now come on the market scene with high integrity, with, because I'm coaching you one-on-one, right? We're going to come to market with a whole new, fresh perspective. You're going to stand out amongst the crowd, okay? And what needs to happen is your profile, if I had to convict you, if I had to haul you into court and put you on trial for being an Amway distributor, is there enough information on your LinkedIn profile to convict you? Right? And so, and this is to everybody, right? Whether you're on the live call or in the recording, if I had to haul your butt into court and charge you with being a real estate person, for example, or a marketing person or an SEO person, is there enough evidence on your LinkedIn profile that I can get a conviction with? That's really the litmus test. Okay? And so another thing, so does that answer your question, number one?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so if you can press *6 real quick, that'll mute you. And then we've got about 10 minutes left, and I want to hop on a couple of other topics here before we go. But I want to point out something that I just now said, and that is in August of last year, actually I believe it was October of 2013, I hired Rick Cooper as my social media coach. I hired him for 3 months, taught me all kinds of stuff about social media. In August of last year, I worked with a lady named Penny Pearl, and we did a couple of joint venture stuff together, and it made my LinkedIn profile even better. Today, I work and coach with Aaron Opfell, okay, as my social media coach. And, the more and more time I spend with him, the more I learn. And so here's the key takeaway, whether it's myself, whether it's Aaron, I don't care who you hire, okay? If you're weak in the area of social media and you don't know what you're doing, you got two choices. You can try to figure it out on your own. And I will tell you this, the very best that you have has gotten you to where you are right now. Okay, so that's either a good thing or it's a bad thing. Okay? But it doesn't have to be that way going forward. Find somebody who's an expert at this, coach with them, mentor with them, and let them help you get out there and get exposure, because the biggest challenge most people have in business is obscurity. There's not enough people that know about you. And so that's my rant for today's call. And let's talk about our next topic, which is how to write an unbiased, effective profile summary. So tell us why you chose unbiased, effective profile summary. I would think I would want to be biased.
Well, you do, but remember, and and this kind of speaks to the next point, the difference between sales and marketing on LinkedIn, right? We talked about the fancy dinner, right? We're going there. It's a process. You don't want to come off too salesy in your profile. You want to come off, you want to build yourself up, obviously. You want to mention key things that you've done and have a little bit of excitement, but a lot of people fall victim to this thought process that, they know what their prospect wants, right? And so you have to get out of your head and you have to write something that's going to appeal to that audience, and you have to test it. That's the kind of the essence of marketing there, you know. So how you'd write it is, you know, a lot of people don't even have. This is really scary to tell you, John. You know, it's all about, you know, hey, I have a, you know, coach and all that. It's great. You know, social media coaching is fantastic. Highly recommend it. You know, our company gets into social media more as like a supporting effort, because, you know, our main job is to drive, you know, sales and results, and social media influences that. But, you know, to write, you know, on the subject of copywriting, you know, we talked about headlines and taglines. You should have a copywriter probably write that summary. You know, you don't necessarily have to hire one. Maybe you've got a wife or a girlfriend or a friend that writes. Just have someone else write it, or at minimum, you write it, or do bullet points, or dictate it, or something. Get it out of your head and have someone else look at it. And you might have to go through this process a couple times before you're comfortable and you can write, you know, a decent body of information. But you've got to come up with some way, you know, of getting, you know, 300 to 400 words, you know, 200 to 300 words in that profile. And you've got to have some keywords in there too, as I mentioned earlier.
The 200 to 300 words is what we should be shooting for our summary section, right?
Yep. You know, not too much, not too little, like just right.
To help us out with that, what are the main, you know, because somebody goes there, okay, and they are going to read my summary, okay? What questions do I want to answer in that person's mind in my summary? Can you give me some key questions to be thinking of as I'm writing my summary? In other words, as I'm writing my summary and reading my summary, I need to be asking myself, am I answering these questions that's probably going through this person's mind? What would some of those questions be?
Here's the first question. Is this person a figment of my imagination? You know, digital is so everything is so you know, fake on digital. You know, so like you got to come across like my profile starts out, hi, I'm Aaron Opfell. Like I'm saying hello. It makes me more real. You know, it makes me like a human being. And
sure.
Then, you know, the second thing is like you got to tell a little bit of your story. You know, and you've got to tell people what you do. You know, so it's like, who is this person real? What's their story? And what do they do? In a, you know, kind of advanced thing, I don't know if we have time to get all the way into this, but I try to answer some objections that people might have to connecting with me, because my industry is, you know, full of a bunch of, you know, crap, right? You know, people, every time I hear, oh, my last marketing guy sucked, you know, so I try to, you know, I'm trying a strategy where I'm addressing those objections. But does that help? Those are the three main things.
No, it definitely helps, because I was at there's a local organization here in Sacramento called Local Impact Zone. And it stands for, the short one is LIV, right? So they're out of Idaho, but they're expanding in Sacramento like a rabbit on a hormone diet. And I mean, now that's a southern term, Aaron. I don't expect you to know what that is. And, you know, if you're on the live call or listening to the recording, I am from the South, and every now and then a term like that comes out, and I've got to explain it. And what it means is, you know, growing very quickly, right? So I translate that from Southern talk into normal talk, and you know that we use terms like that, right? So feel free to use it and get a laugh out of the audience every time. But I was there this morning, and we were talking about the book. They have a program called Liz Reads, and every month they go through a different book. And this month's book is called How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yep, that's a great book.
Literally the first book I ever read.
Fantastic.
From cover to cover as an adult in 1990, and that book changed my life. I mean, it is the #1 book on the planet when it relates to people skills. And one of the things that it teaches is, you know what? Whenever you're going to do anything, whenever you're going to write any sales copy or any type of post on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, always be thinking in terms of the other person. if the other person reads this, is there enough information there to help them? Is there enough information there that can make a difference in their life? And number two, is it going to be helpful for them? And if you're constantly thinking in terms of the other person, then writing the summary section of your LinkedIn profile is definitely going to be better. You're going to get a lot better results, because if I go to your profile and I look at it and I go, this is a person that I would like to connect with, right? It needs to be something like that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree. And this kind of brings us to our fourth and final point. What is the difference what is the fine line between sales and marketing, right? And so, in a nutshell, I think we've kind of covered it in the call, but it's going through the process. Marketing is making sure they have the exact right amount of information at each stage. So headline helps them click, summary helps to excite them and answer critical questions and get them to connect. You've got to ask for that sale. You've got to ask them to connect with you. I want people to call me, so that's what I'm asking for. So you got to remember that they're not going to see that summary, I don't think, until they've connected with you. They won't see the whole summary. So, but in essence, it's the difference is sales is more of an outbound strategy. I mean, we could talk. Maybe the next topic will be how to prospect on LinkedIn. How to use LinkedIn Pro, how to do that outbound outreach, how to get into groups. But, for right now, we're just talking about that inbound marketing, how to, create that honeypot, that attracts your prospect. Mm-hmm. So, and that's marketing in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic, man. Well, great call today, buddy. You knocked it out of the park. We can talk for hours. On different strategies on how to do this. Do you have some resources that people can connect to?
Yeah, you could, our website is great information. Our LinkedIn profile, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm constantly sharing, free information, free articles and resources through there. But I've got a special offer for people on this call. I wrote a book last year about lead generation, and one of the topics covers social media. So you asked me to add some value to this call, John. I've decided to offer a free hard copy. It's a paperback version of my book, and I'll pay the shipping to anyone who wants to access it, exclusive to your group and exclusive to this call. How does that sound?
Oh wow! Holy cow, dude. Wow, you don't have to do that, but hell, you're paying the shipping. Okay, no problem. How do they get access to it?
Well, John, there's a link there. Is there a way to message it out, or there's kind of two ways? You could either text it, or you can text your address to a number, or if you have the ability, John, to send out a message to this group, or is it phone only?
Yeah, what I can do is, let's do both. So what we'll do is we'll post, if you send me a link where they can go and register, I'll post it in the 10x Mastermind call event broadcast that they did today. I'll also put it in the notes section of once I upload the recording, because a lot of people will listen to the recording, and then if they're going to text information to you, what's the number that they need to text to?
Yeah, they can text. Just text your first and last name and your mailing address to area code 916-459-8626.
So say that number again, slower.
That's 916-459-8626.
Okay. So text you, in the subject line put book, right? And the next line put your name, full name. The next line put your mailing address where you want the book mailed to. And then just so you can stay in touch with them, put your email in there for him as well. And so, because I know you send out free SEO tips all the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you go on Facebook and you access the link, which will be available, I know you have the podcast, John, but I'm going to have to. This is a very generous offer, so I'm only going to be able to run it for about 24 hours, exclusive to your closed group. So if you opt in via Facebook, you'll also be able to access our SEO tips series, which has some very valuable information about keywords in Google.
Okay. Awesome. All right, man. Well, I'm going to send you my text here in a minute, and I want that. So there you have it. All right. Hey, we're a little bit over time, but this is a phenomenal call. I can't wait to get the recording, go back and listen to it. There was a lot of golden nuggets on here. I made some modifications to my own LinkedIn profile. I'm looking forward to seeing the increased results. Probably carve out some time this Saturday to rewrite my summary based on this call as well, and I can't wait to see the results of that. Here's the homework, everybody. If you're on the live call or listening to the recording, carve out some time this week. First of all, take Aaron up on his generous offer, send him a text message, and get your book and get all the other resources he's going to send you. Number 2 is over the next 7 days, carve out at least an hour to 2 hours. Book it as an appointment. Do it right now. Don't wait. Okay? Procrastination will kill you, right? So take the time right now, book an appointment with yourself to sit down and focus on your marketing this week, and specifically around your LinkedIn profile, and go back and listen to this call and do the tips that Aaron's talked about. And then if you could do me a huge favor, as a personal favor to me, is if you start getting increased results, if you wouldn't mind, go to Aaron's LinkedIn profile and write him a recommendation. That would be very, very generous of you as a kind of to help pay it back, if you will, because I know you're not going to ask for it, right? But if you got value out of today's call and you get value out of the stuff Aaron taught you, do him a favor. Go and write a recommendation for him and let everybody know what he did, what he taught you, and what you did, and the results that you got. That would really, really help him out. Hey, buddy. Hey, thanks a lot for being on the call. You and I are coaching this afternoon, so I can't wait to talk to you then. And everybody else, go out and make it a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Have a great one. Bye-bye.